And welcome back, everybody, to a special edition of the Always Pressing PGA DFS podcast. This episode, Jesse and I will be recapping the 2017-18 PGA Tour season as we are fresh into the new season of golf. Recap some winners, losers, go tournament by tournament, a little more in depth on some than others because some, really don't matter as much. But in order to do so, like I said, I'll be joined by my co-host Jesse. Jesse, how you doing, man?
Doing well, dude. Doing well. Glad to be here. For those who listen to us often, we reference No Laying Up quite a bit, and they do some really good podcasts. So this is kind of going to be in the spirit of that. We won't live up to as well as they do it, most likely, but we're going to try to do things the way that they kind of do it.
Yeah, a little recap of things and kind of give our opinions on what we saw, liked, and whatnot throughout the season. As there's so much golf, even Jesse put together a spreadsheet of all the events, and it was just like, man, that one happened that long ago, huh? So it's it's crazy. It's really, really crazy. But then again, we've previewed every golf tournament for almost 2 years, at least a year and a half now. And so I could at least remember, talking about them in a DFS way, one way or another for each tournament. So we've been there. We've done that. Before we go tournament by tournament, Jesse, Brooks Koepka was announced as the PGA Tour Player of the Year, and deservedly so when you take home two of the four majors and you're just a monster in your own right. It's pretty damn impressive. He had 6 top 10 finishes, made over $7 million this year, 9th in the FedEx Cup, won 2 tournaments, as we mentioned. Pretty good. He had 6 second-place finishes as well. So what are your thoughts on Brooks? Not in his career, second place. My bad.
He had at least one this past year. Yeah, he had one at the Fort Worth. Yeah. One thing people forget about Brooks is he started off the year injured. He played in the Tournament of Champions and did not play well at all whatsoever, and then took basically through the Zurich off. So he didn't play any golf for the most part in January, February, March, and for most of April. So he took, almost 4 months off. He missed the Masters because of that. He had that wrist injury. And so it's a pretty incredible year when you think about it. He made 16 out of 18 cuts. One of those cuts was the Zurich Classic, his first tournament back. He shot 67, 78. But then, started getting some form coming back, and then obviously won the U.S. Open, and then turned around and won the PGA Championship too. So made the cut at the Open Championship, finished tied 39th. So he had a great year. Who else do you give it to?
Yeah, when you 2 majors, it's tough. He played, like you said, 19 tournaments. First tournament of the year was the WGC HSBC we have coming up in a couple of weeks. He actually finished second there as well. So there in the Fort Worth, he finished second this year. Like you said, he played in the Hero. He played in this Tournament of Champions where he played pretty rough. Still finished 34th. But not
there's only like 34 people.
Exactly. Plus 13. I was trying to sugarcoat it a little bit there. But 13 over par. And like you said, he didn't even play in the WGC Mexico. And he came back April 29th. So he went from playing in the Tournament Champions in January 7th. And then April 29th, he comes back. Like you said, gets cut at the Zurich. He makes the Wells Fargo, which, was a pretty tough field. And then all of a sudden, after the T42 at the Wells, he goes T11 at the Players, 2nd at Fort Worth, 30th at St. Jude's, wins the U.S. Open, 19th at the Travelers, 39th at the British, but that was mainly because of that one rough round. He played really good golf there, too. He missed the cut, though, on the Canadian. It shocked a lot of people in that field. But then 5th, 1st, 8th, 12th, 19th, 26th. If he really just kind of cracked it down, he was pretty damn impressive. So kudos to Brooks.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I don't know who else you give it to. Somebody who wins 2 majors in 1 year and is back-to-back U.S. Open champion. Like, DJ didn't have that great of a year. Obviously Spieth didn't have a good year at all. JT had not a terrible year. He didn't have a great year.
Real quick, I want to say something though. JT and DJ both won 3 tournaments this last year.
Yeah,
I know they weren't majors, right. But still 3 Ws.
I would say if they win 3 tournaments and one of those is a major, probably they get the nod there for Player of the Year. But it's hard. It's just hard to argue with it. Like I said, I don't know who else you give it to. One funny thing is that did you see where he said that Brooks said he forgot to vote or he just was too lazy to vote?
Said he was too lazy to vote for it. Yeah. I love Brooks. He's like this guy. like you hear all the stories about it that he's like a big game hunter. He shows up for the big tournaments, kicks people's ass, but he doesn't win the small tournaments because he just doesn't care. And when he says something like, "I didn't vote because I was lazy," it kind of makes sense.
I guess. I mean, like literally, if you look back at some of his rounds this year too, you can see where he's kind of lazy. I mean, he's got some high numbers out there, and but he's a two-time U.S. Open champion and a 3-time major winner. Not many people in the world can say that.
And he's still very, very young. He is still very good friends with Dustin Johnson. Don't worry about that. And to be fair, if it wasn't going to be Brooks Koepka this year, it was probably going to be Francisco Molinari, but this show wouldn't exist anymore if that happened. So just to be fair, that we didn't go that route. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. But we'll get into what Molinari did and everybody else. We might as well just get right at it, Jesse, and we'll just kind of go back and forth on this. We'll kick it off back on October 5th, the Safeway Open, where Brendan Steele repeated back-to-back. And he even looked good this year, but this is for last year. He got it done for a second year in a row on a wild tournament. Like I said last week, the fires roared wild right after the end of the 4th round. So that's kind of what I remember the tournament for. But Steele got it done, and Finau, one of his many great finishes, finished second that week.
Yeah, I wish he was in the field last week. I wish Finau was there last week. That would have been fun to see him play last week. But yeah, I mean, Brendan Steele back-to-back champion there. The crazy thing about that tournament was that, I mean, literally as people were driving away, like the last golfers were getting off the golf course, people were getting off. I mean, like the tents there were burning down.
Yep.
And they were talking about that on the broadcast this year, how crazy, that was that they had a tournament and then literally like the fire comes through. So yeah, it's good to know that, it's good to see that Silverado's, still there though and still rocking.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And like I said, the guy I got to play with, he lives a few blocks. He's in the Silverado area, and his place was supposed to be evacuated. And he's the only guy that did not evacuate. It's the only reason why his house is still standing up, is he kept like pouring water wherever he could. So
really,
yeah, wow. It's wild. And I remember my buddy, I was watching the tournament at home or whatever, and like seconds later, Twitter's, I'm not gonna say ablaze, but it was blowing up with the fire stuff. And I text him because he lives in Napa also, and yeah, it was getting pretty wild. So crazy stuff there. And like you said, it's great to see the courses bounce back, the communities bounce back. A lot of good stuff there.
Right.
All right, why don't you kick us off on the next one?
Yeah, so the CIMB Classic, which is actually, coincidentally enough, happening this week. It's over in TPC Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, basically a 12-hour time difference. The golf course is beautiful. Pat Perez was the champion. I mean, I don't remember much about that golf tournament other than it happened. I didn't even really remember that there's no cut this year. Whenever we, went to do our pod this past Monday, totally forgot there was no cut in a limited field. So, it's a joint Asian Tour event. You got anything else on it? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a pretty rough one. It's like you said, no cuts kind of get sleepy. Maybe we should have noticed then that Keegan Bradley was making a comeback. He finished second at 20 under. I don't know. I think your reaction right there is kind of how everyone felt about Keegan Bradley finishing second.
I mean, he obviously played well that week, but he didn't really come on again to the end of the year. I mean, he played okay there, but So limited field. I don't know.
It wasn't a ton of stuff. You just look at the leaderboard. It was kind of just the simple things you'd expect, I guess, from those kind of fields. Nothing too crazy. I guess the biggest surprise people would say is Justin Thomas didn't three-peat. But Patty Perez did his thing, and it was kind of a good little false swing that Pat Perez had over there.
Yep.
The CJ Cup at Nine Bridges followed up CIMB Classic, and Justin couldn't win at the CIMB, but heck, he might as well win at the CJ Cup. And he won in a playoff over Mark Leishman on the second playoff hole. It was one of, as we will talk about throughout our many playoffs that took place, especially early in the season this year on the PGA Tour. But kind of what was impressive to me in that one is Pat Perez managed a 5th place right after his tournament win. But it was a good showing from JT and taking down Leishman, who had a good start to his year as well. But JT, one of his 3 wins on the season.
Yeah, that's a beautiful golf course. Obviously they'll be there next week. But that's it's in Korea. It's one of the most like picturesque golf courses there is. There's only actually 8 bridges on the golf course. The 9th is of lore, I don't know. But either way, It's a beautiful golf course. It's a lot of fun to watch that tournament. Obviously, another tournament that is on at night, so like, hard to get into.
Yeah, most definitely.
So then from there we go back to America to the prestigious Sanderson's Farm Championship, where Ryan Armour won the golf tournament, and I'm pretty sure it was his first win of his career. He won the tournament by 5 shots over Chesson Hadley. This is an event that like is for a lot of the new guys, a lot of web.com guys play in this event, obviously. There's just not many big names. But one thing of note is, and I think this kind of got me excited, if I remember correctly, Smiley Kaufman finished 4th in this field.
T4.
Yeah. And he's obviously out now with an injury, and he had a struggle coming in the rest of the year. So he ended up, sitting out now for the injury. But yeah, I mean, we're down to Mississippi there. It's not a big tournament at all. Like I said, a lot of your smaller time guys play in the tournament, not very many big names, but Ryan Armour gets the win there.
Yep, he ran away with it, 5 strokes over Chesson Hadley, who also had a good fall season after coming off the web.com. And the reason why not many big names are there is that same week is the WGC HSBC. So the big boys are playing over on the Shishan Golf Club. They are it's the Euro Tour's chance, or the Asian Tour's chance, to have a WGC event. And Justin Rose started out his dominating season with the big W in this one of his 2 wins on the year. Gets it done, holds off Henrik Stenson. Brooks finished second, and DJ second. Three-way tie for second. But Justin Rose finished 14 under par and did it in pretty dominating fashion.
Yeah, I don't remember much about this golf tournament other than it's in Shanghai. I mean, going as far as Justin Rose goes, I actually forgot that he won this golf tournament. But whenever we were talking about Brooks and potential other players of the year, I mean, he'd have to be in the mix. He had 2 wins on the year, nothing major, no majors, obviously, but he did win the FedEx Cup as well. So, he would be in the mix. Probably, I would imagine he was second to Brooks. I don't know how the voting went, but I would think he would be second.
He'd be my second.
Yeah.
if like anybody cares, but he'd be my second.
Right. So from there we go back to America. So obviously there's 2 events in 1 week there because of the WGC event. Got your small time guys in Mississippi. Now we're kind of back to a normal, quote unquote, normal PGA Tour schedule. It comes back and you kind of, well, not really when you get into the California swing, because that happens really more in the actual, in like January, but closer to like you got a cut event, normal golf. Patrick Cantlay won the Shriners Hospital for Children Open. His first win of the year, of his career for sure. He was if you remember correctly, Bubba, he was a darling of the DFS world previous to this. And so I'm sure he was like 40% owned when he won this golf tournament.
Yeah, as the kids say, DFS Twitter was lit after this one because, he was pretty.
I'm sure everybody bet him too.
Oh yeah, everyone was a genius this week because their guy hit, and it's funny because no one's really fallen off him because he was supposed to be on the Ryder Cup, Jesse. He was supposed to be that guy, not Bubba Watson. We should have just made an exemption and kicked someone off the team for Patrick Cantlay. So
here's my issue with Cantlay. If you ever watch him putt, like, oh my goodness, dude. So. Quick short story. I played golf with a guy who does the similar kind of thing, but is actually worse than Cantlay over the ball. No. Played golf. And so this guy, me and another buddy were kind of paired up with him in a tournament. He takes 40-something seconds to hit a shot.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm not kidding you. A shot, 40-something seconds. And the guy who was with me timed me at 7 seconds to hit my shot. So, but it's frustrating to watch Cantlay play. One other person of note here, and who will be coming up a little bit, actually next week, Patton Kizzire finished 4th. Should have seen this coming.
Yeah, this was another one of our playoffs. Patrick Cantlay had to hold off Alex Cheka and Mean Wee Kim. So, they finished at 9 under each. The Shriners, formerly known as, and I think still kind of is, but not really as famous as, the Justin Timberlake Open over there in Vegas. It's a fun little tournament to play that time of year. I actually enjoy it because you get like a fun little group because Bryson, he finished 2 shots off at 7th place. there's a good group of young players that'll play here. So I'm looking forward to this year. Like I could imagine, and maybe not, but I could see like maybe some like Bronson Burgoons and stuff like that. It could be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
to see them out there this
you'll
year.
see a lot of web.com guys in this tournament for sure again. So, and it's
yeah,
a cut event.
Our boy M will probably be out there.
Right. I mean, my biggest issue with the early part of this season is you have a lot of no cut events. Obviously, World Golf Championship, no cut, CIMB Classic, no cut. And they're kind of, so it's just hard to get into a rhythm in the early season here because stuff's kind of choppy.
Yeah, very, very much so. And that'll take us over to the OHL Classic in Mayakoba, where you hit it. Patty Kazire, out of nowhere, shocks the world and takes down Ricky Fowler and company. Fowler finished one shot off there. He had like CH3 and a few others close by. But honestly, if you asked many non-real, into golf people, they probably wouldn't know who Pat Kazire was. And the sad part is, after his amazing start to the year, many people probably still don't know who Patton Kazire is because he disappeared real quickly. But and I'm not trying to be an asshole here, but it was just like a massive drop-off in production. But he had a great weekend there, and he had a good weekend coming up as well.
Yeah, he beat Ricky by one, held him off there on Sunday. They both shot 67. Yeah, so this was – he was definitely out of nowhere this week. I remember this week, and he was like super low on. He started off really well, shot 62 on the first day. But this golf course is of course played in Mexico. So, yeah, I mean, OHL Classic beat Pat Kazire. I mean, I don't know what else you say about it.
It gets him into the Tournament of Champions in a few weeks.
It did. Oh, yeah, that's very true. He will be playing in January there in the Tournament of Champions. So, does he get 2 entries?
He might need them. Oh man, what do you got for the next one?
Yeah, so moving on, the RSM Classic, which is held in Seaside Island Resort, Seaside Island, Georgia, and it's where I believe a lot of PGA Tour pros reside there. So Austin Cook, who was a web.com grad last year, correct? Do you remember?
Yes.
Yeah. He gets the win here. And, this is why a lot of people, Kazire's win, Austin Cook's win, Ryan Armour's win. This is why a lot of people say that they can make a lot of money during this time of this, the fall swing or whatever, because these fields are not loaded. There's a lot of first-time winners. And if you get on the right guys at the right time, obviously it can pay dividends. So other than, Cook winning, I don't remember anything about this golf tournament.
I remember it's a beautiful golf course. Kevin Kisner's a local, finished 4th. It's the Seaside Boys, the Seaside Mafia, or whatever they call them. I remember all these things. Zach Johnson's part of the Seaside Mafia. There's a big group of them. But Kisner was the chalk of the week when it came to DFS, as he was the popular play. At least he came through. As we talked Kiz a lot because the talent's there, but it seemed like he seemed to show up in the big fields this year, not the small ones. It was really weird with Kiz. But Austin Cook is great. For those that follow his caddy on Twitter, Mr. Henley, he's entertaining as hell. But Austin Cook is really solid young golfer. You'll see him his top 10ing it off and on throughout the year. And this was the start of a big thing. And like you said, for DFS guys, it's great for some of these early tournaments. And for these guys, because they're getting FedEx Cup points. They're getting a chance to win. Because now Cook's in the Tournament of Champions. He gets his card for – I can't remember how many years one win gets you. It's a handful.
You get 2-year exemption. 2-year exemption for winning.
And you can basically pick whatever tournament you want to play in now. There's a big factor why these guys like to do this. So Armour, Cook, Kazire, and some others. This was a big fall stretch where a lot of these, big-time players like Justin Rose and company like to take a little breather, and rightfully so. These guys take advantage of it, and good for them because it gives us something to watch on the weekends.
Yep.
All right. We head down to the Hero World Challenge, to Tigers Tournament, where we had, 18 golfers to play with here?
It. Yeah.
18 golfers, and guess who finished last?
Brooks.
Like I said, he had to have still been injured then, because that was pretty close to that tournament. This is the only event he played before the Tournament of Champions. But yeah, Ricky Fowler, 18 under par, gets it done. And I think I'm correct. You correct me if I'm wrong. That gets him into the Tournament of Champions, doesn't it?
I don't think this is an official PGA Tour
event. Okay,
good.
So
I don't think he gets in.
Thank you. I was hoping they get paid a lot.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he made $1 million for beating 17 other people. So yeah, I mean, and this was, I think, like when everybody really thought Ricky was going to have a great year, and it didn't translate. He shot 61 on Sunday though to basically come from behind, and he beat Charlie Hoffman by 4 shots. But there's also another guy who this was his first tournament back in a little while.
Is he any good?
Tiger Woods.
Who's that?
Yeah, he finished tied 9th. I mean, Tiger came. This is obviously his tournament. Shot 68 or 69, 68, 75, 68. Finished tied for 9th, and this is kind of when the whole "is he back" thing started.
Isn't this where he lived on his boat out in the ocean, out of the harbor right there? I know he did it. I know he did it up in New York towards the end of the year. But I swore he had his freaking yacht out there.
Wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me a bit.
Must be good to be Tiger Woods. Really must be good.
So like the one thing about the Hero World Challenge is it's kind of like a tease, because it's obviously a very strong field, and it's the last tournament really until, especially for DFS purposes, for a month.
It's only 18 players too. It's like literally you pick a third of the field.
Right. I mean, it's the most tilting. Like, it's so pointless to play DFS, but that's it. I mean, that's pretty much it for there's nothing in December. There's one thing, the QBE shootout, but like I
can't play DFS.
I don't even know what that is, right? So we have a whole month without golf, and the lead up to the Tournament Champions is really fun if you are plugged into the Twitter world. This is when one and dones get started. This is when like season long DraftKings contests get started. So the lead up here is a lot of fun. The Junkies League, and this is really when golf is coming back, and it's like really, really like exciting. Obviously you're coming off Christmas, yada yada yada. So you hit the Tournament of Champions. It's played in Maui, obviously in Hawaii, and the thing about the Tournament of Champions is you have to win to get in. So you have to win within the last year in order to get in to this tournament, and it's a fun golf course to watch. This past year, Dustin Johnson though blew everybody out. He won by 8 shots. Do you remember that shot he hit on that par 4 that almost went in?
He almost hole in one the par 4. Yes, that was absolutely redundant. Like it rolled, and all of a sudden you started to think, "Oh my God, there's actually a chance here."
I mean, it was online. It was online. So this was, obviously this is like the unofficial start of the PGA Tour season. And again, another limited fucking field.
Yep, just got to get our whistle wet and we can have some fun. But it was crazy how he ran away with it, because it is like there's those kind of mediocre guys, and I know it sounds rude saying that because those mediocre guys would probably beat me by 40 strokes. But like when in the grand scheme of the PGA, there's the mediocres and there's DJ, who finishes 8 shots ahead of Jon Rahm. Like literally destroyed this field. Ricky Fowler was 14 under, 10 shots back. You got a couple other guys that got it done, but really smoked this field. This is the tournament we talked about earlier where Brooks finished 13 over, and then we didn't see Brooks for a while. This was the last time here. And it was played at Kapalua Plantation Course. And, since I'll go on a side tangent here, a good buddy of mine who I golf with usually weekly around here, he had to go to Hawaii sounds bad, but he had to go to Hawaii for his fiance's 40th birthday party with a bunch of friends. None of them golfed, so he brought his clubs and went and played Plantation by himself. And he kept sending me Snapchats of every hole he was on. Like, I wanted to see that so badly.
What an asshole.
Yeah, pretty much, but that's my friend. And he told me he realizes now how these guys could drive, like DJ can get a hole in one and whatnot. It's an absolutely beautiful course. It is such an eye mess. IF is what I could call it. Yeah. He said there's one hole you have to clear all this stuff, but you can hit like a 3-wood and you smoke it past it, where it looks like when you're on the tee box here, there's like no way my driver's getting over this. Yeah. And pretty interesting course to say the least.
Well, it's super windy, and then the other thing about it is it's built on the side of a hill. I mean,
yes, you have a lot of pictures looking down at the ocean.
I've heard it's really, really difficult to walk, but it's also super expensive to play. It's like $450 a round or something.
Yeah, he's got money. He's lucky. But after the Century Tournament of Champions, we actually get a no-cut event. We are back for the Sony Open. But hey, guess who wins the Sony Open? Patton Kizzire in a playoff against James Hahn. What a tournament. Patton Kizzire and James Hahn, good times. But take home for me on this is Webb Simpson. It was another top 10 finish for him. He had a couple of those early in the season, and we kind of needed, I think, should have started noticing a little more that the putter was actually back. Webb was actually back. And as we go through more of this, he had a really, really good season. That's why he was on the Ryder Cup. But, Patton Kizzire takes down his second tournament of the year. But more importantly, Jesse, the Golf Channel strike. Cameraman strike. Pretty wild stuff.
Yeah, that's a little. I mean, besides Patton winning his second tournament of the year, that's the only thing I remember about this. And like the funny thing is it goes into a playoff. So the cameraman, I think, went on strike like Saturday night. So they had literally like, I don't know what they did, but they just set up cameras around the golf course. So there was no like mobile cameras. So I think they like hired some like local elementary school kids and just had them, moving these cameras back and forth. And they had dudes like back in America, wherever Golf Channel is located, calling it like they're watching TV. It was the most odd thing I've ever seen. And that's the only thing I remember from that. But the coverage was awful. And then ironically, it goes into a playoff where they have to continue to cover it.
Wasn't this also the one where they had the nuclear threat on the bomb threat where they all had to go hide in the bathtubs?
Oh no, that was I think
tournament champions.
No, but I think the nuclear deal was like North Korea had set off a nuclear rocket or something like that, and so they all got alerts on their phones. That there was a potential nuclear strike inbound. I think it was a mistake. Now that
it was somebody screwed up and was not supposed to send that message. Talk about a screw up.
But it was during this whole time when North Korea was detonating nuclear weapons, and sending off rockets and shit. So it was like a real threat. And then you send out a fake or a false. Yeah, dude, it was a wild week. It was a wild week.
I remember watching certain guys because a little more Webby type tournament, and you had guys tweeting out stuff like, "Yeah, we're just hanging out in our bathtub," or all these different things. Like, holy crap!
Yeah, dude, I remember that now. I'm glad you brought that up. I totally forgot about that.
That's the whole point of this. We're gonna brainstorm and think about all kinds of cool shit.
Yeah. So after that insanity, that Golf Channel hires and starts paying their cameramen because they got plenty of shit on Twitter about it. And we move back over to the mainland United States. And this is really when the Cali swing starts, initially down in La Quinta, California at 3 different golf courses. And this is, it's tilting to play this tournament DFS because there's literally 3 different golf courses they play. They play one golf course twice. I think it's stadium course. Either way, John Rahm pulls out the win over Andrew Landry, who we'll talk about later. So he actually won that in a playoff. I don't know if you remember that playoff or not, but Landry's hitting it like 200 yards and Rahm's hitting it like 300, and Landry's hitting in 4 irons in the greens and Rahm's wedging it in. But Landry hung in for a while.
It went 4 playoff holes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of like David versus Goliath.
Yeah, it was weird because you'd even see them like standing next to each other, and you're like, this shouldn't be the case. Like Landry would like hit a drive on one of the holes. It was like not on the playoffs, but because they were in the final pairing, right. And like Rahm would hit like a 3-wood, and they'd be sitting next to each other. And it's just like you see Rahm hit his driver, and the ball just like fly past Landry's on the fairway. But like you said, Landry, the iron play, and like you said, we'll talk about him later. He's a damn good player, and it goes to show you that you don't have to be a bomber to win on this tour at all by any means. Good player. John Rahm, it felt like, I can't remember it 100%, but I remember watching a lot of that final action. It felt like he was choking it away. Like he should have pulled away in this one because he had control the entire weekend. And then Sunday came around and it was like the talk of the mental midget started showing up again. And we've seen it so many times still with Rahm. The talent is off the charts, but he just can't hone it in because I think his opening round was 8 or 9 under. Like he
shot 62. Yeah, it's a par 72. He shot 10 under in the first round. Landry shot 9 under. 22. Yeah.
So they killed it together, and it was a good start. And signs of things come for Landry, and Rahm's on the board yet again.
Yep.
But then we got to a fun one. The Farmers, really good one. Tiger is back again. But I think the moral of the story here is when we can talk about, Tiger finished. He made the cut by birdieing that last hole, because I remember DFS Twitter was going wild on that one, because everyone thought Tiger was going to win every tournament, and they didn't listen to the Always Pressing podcast apparently. But he gets there. But he had a good week and finished T23. The crazy part was the final grouping. You had Jason Day and JB Holmes and Alex Noren, I think, in the final group. And JB Holmes decides to take his sweet-ass time, deciding if he's going to go for it in 2 because he's a shot back and needs to eagle the last hole. And then he lays up to the left after taking forever to make his shot. Goes to a 3-man playoff between Day, Palmer, and Noren, where Day and Palmer loses the first playoff hole. He pars it while they birdie it. Then it's too dark, so Jason Day and Noren have to – I think they played one more playoff hole. Then they had to come back the next day to finish it up.
They played Jason one hole the next day, right?
Yeah, one hole the next day. Jason Day ended up beating Noren, but it was great because I remember watching it on TV, and it's dark as hell, but you had the camera's lights, and you can kind of see it. And then they interviewed Noren and Day after Sunday before the end of the tournament, technically, and both of them said they had no idea where they were hitting the ball. No clue. And it's like they had their yardage because their book showed this tree to the left or right or whatever, and okay, we got this far to go. It's over here. They had no clue what they were doing. And that would kind of be kind of weird, trying to win millions of dollars with no clue what you're doing.
Yeah, I remember that now. That the JB Holmes deal, that was a big deal. His slow played Noren there basically, and I think did he bogey the last hole?
He bogeyed. He could have won it without a playoff.
Yeah, and so you got to wonder if that had anything to do with it. Obviously, who knows for sure. But one thing about the winner here is it's Jason Day, and he won twice, and we'll talk about him more later, but how crazy is Jason Day won twice, and literally you didn't even think about him this year. It's not even he's just an afterthought. Yeah.
It is wild. It is very, very wild.
So moving on from there, California, we moved down to Scottsdale, Arizona for the Waste Management Phoenix Open, which is known for its big crowds. Obviously, it pretty much draws the biggest galleries of any tournament all year. It's got the 16th hole, which is completely surrounded by it's basically like playing in a football field there. It's a lot of fun to watch on TV. But Gary Woodland wins. The only thing I remember about this golf tournament is that Hideki was the defending champion, I believe. It was popular. I played him in my one and dones, and he withdrew before he started, but after lock and everything.
No, didn't he play the part of the first round of the first round? Then he withdrew, or was it after lock?
I don't know. I mean, it was definitely after lock for sure.
Well, yeah, but I thought for some reason he tried to play, and he knew he had a messed up wrist, and he still played.
Oh, he shot 69 the first round, so he must have withdrew in the second round then. Okay, all right.
Yeah, that's what it was. I remember because everyone was like, okay, he's okay. The wrist is fine. And then he woke up the next day. I think he realized the wrist wasn't fine and called it a day. But, yeah, another playoff. Again, a trend, especially early in the season. But Gary Woodland, who had a really, really good season, and Ches Reavie, who had a great season as well for those two standards. Woodland takes down the first playoff hole. Your boy Ollie, he finished pretty high up there. Brandon Steele, Hadley, Bryson with a T5. So a lot of good stuff in that one. And that stadium course, like you talked about, I would love to play that hole so bad.
I mean, dude, awesome. I'd just love to play that golf course, period. But another funny thing is it's Woodland against Reavie in the playoff, kind of David versus Goliath type of deal again. Short hitter, long knocker, and Woodland gets the win. And then, we basically don't hear from Woodland again until the very end of the year.
He fell apart in a big, big way. But like you said, then he comes on strong again towards the end. And he's already carried that over to the start of the next season. He had an interesting day on Thursday at the CIMB. But let's go to the Genesis Open at Riviera Golf Course down in Los Angeles.
You skipped one there.
Oh, my bad. I skipped the one I go to every year.
Your favorite golf tournament.
Yes, my favorite one is going to be the preview for the U.S. Open this year, the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, where I watched Dustin Johnson shoot even par on Sunday. He had the lead going into he was tied for the lead with good old Ted Potter Jr., a lefty of my own heart. And, Ted goes 300, wins. Jason Day ties for second. Ches Reavie ties for second. Mickelson, course history machine, tied for second. A lot to like there. I remember Kevin Streelman finished sixth in the PGA. Him and Larry Fitzgerald won the Pro-Am. Fitzgerald, quite the stick. Pretty damn impressive. So it's always a fun tournament. I love going to Pebble Beach. The first 3 days, Spyglass, Monterey Peninsula, and then Pebble, and then Sunday, obviously, at Pebble. Bill Murray always puts on a show. I got to go there this last Sunday and watch them, and it's very impressive. Dustin, in years past, when I've gone, like the year, I think Spieth won the year before, 1 or 2 years ago, and they were in the final pairing, and Dustin seemed like he cared a lot more. He didn't seem to care this time around. He just literally didn't care. He was running around on the putting green, and he was kind of showing up late. Him and Gretzky had solo cups at the putting green. Not sure what was in them, but let's just say Gretzky was laughing a lot and already smoking a cigar at 8:30 in the morning. So I think those boys have fun because they always rent big houses over there and go to Jim Nance's house on Saturday nights and all kinds of stuff like that. But yes, you want to know about the tournament? The tournament was great. It was beautiful weather, and Ted Potter Jr. wins.
Yeah. I just remember like being so tilted by Ted Potter Jr. Like I think he gained like 55,000 shots on approach. I mean, he was striping his irons, and everything was just in there tight as all get out. So he wins by 3 over Day, Dustin Johnson, Mickelson, and Reavie. I mean, like he literally another, David versus Goliath, and finally David, takes him down, in this deal. No playoff, obviously, but I remember going into Sunday and like DJ was in the final group with Ted Potter, and I think Ted Potter in the matchup on your completely legal betting sites was like probably like I would say 3-1 dog, wouldn't you? I mean, like DJ had to be minus 250.
Yeah, oh yeah, he was a heavy favorite.
And it was the stone cold lock of the century for everybody on Twitter. Like, there's no way that Ted Potter Jr. is going to play with DJ tomorrow and beat him, and he beat him by 3 shots.
Yeah, and he was in control the whole time. Like, it was just crazy. And it goes to show you on that course, and that's why I wanted to see what they do for the Open, which that's why I'm looking forward to going to Pebble for this tournament this year, because they already have all the markers and everything out for the Open, and they're going to start. I imagine after the tournament they'll grow it out, but it's not a long course. It's a lot of narrow kind of trickery, hills up and like changes in elevations, but Pebble is not long at all. It is not long at all. So a lot of it's more just, is it going to be windy that day? And that's why Ted got it in, and it worked for him.
That's why Tiger murdered that place for so many years too.
Yep. It really, if you can just hit like a normal shot, like you don't have to be a bomber, but you can still hit it pretty good, and you hit it at you're accurate, you're going to destroy that course.
Yep. So from there, we go down to Pacific Palisades, California, which I believe is in the Los Angeles region, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So you moved down Highway 1 there. I'm sure everybody took Highway 1. Nobody took their private jets. And down to L.A., because they all got RVs and stuff. I'm sure that they're just, you know how these guys slumming around. So head down to the Genesis Open, which is at Riviera Golf Course Country Club. I don't know. It's pretty uppity from what I've heard. But either way, Bubba Watson wins this golf tournament for like the millionth time.
Course history doesn't matter, Jesse. Course history doesn't matter.
And the course history, course history believers rejoice because prior to this, Bubba for the last year had played, at least in the last year, so the previous season had played a clown ball, like something you can go to your local putt-putt golf course and just pick up, and you can just play with it if you want to. So you could have played the same ball as Bubba for very cheap. Very cheap. It doesn't cost you much at all. So he figured out finally that ball is effing trash, and he switched back to Pro V1, and boom, comes out and wins this golf tournament by 2 shots over Finau and Kevin Na. Patrick Cantlay made another appearance there in the top 5. Phil again was in the top. He was top 6 there. But this is just one of those golf courses that, for whatever reason, Bubba Watson loves it, and he's in play every single time that that the Genesis Open is held there, that whatever that is called is held there.
Yeah, it's quite the shot maker's course. A lot of having to play your little left to rights and everything. That's why Bubba loves it. Speaking of his golf ball, I absolutely love the new Titleist commercial where all the golfers they show their headshots and they say something, and at the very end it's Bubba. Trust me, I know. It's like the best thing I've ever seen. It's so true.
Poor Volvic, man. Like
yeah.
they just Yeah, well, the thing is, like, I don't know. Like, at least on the golf courses I play, I see a lot of Volvic golf balls out there. I guess I don't know if just because they're cheap, they make these weird ass colors now. Like they're matte and they're like fluorescent. It's weird, but they're hard as a fucking rock, dude. Like I don't why he. I mean, obviously it was money,
Yep.
but how he didn't know going into that it was going to affect his game so much is beyond me.
Yeah, this is the one where Cantlay, he was in the final grouping, and people thought, okay, he's going to get his second win of the year, and then he shoots even par and finishes fourth, like you said. So interesting there. Riviera, home of Al Michaels, Mark Wahlberg, and those guys. And let's not forget, this is where Bubba Watson went and played in the Celebrity All-Star Challenge the same weekend. So
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
He went to the All-Star game, and people thought, because he even said if he has the wrong pairing, he will drop out of the tournament to go to the Celebrity All-Star game.
Because it was on a Friday, right? So he had to be there at a
Yes.
certain time. And
Exactly.
basically, if he was going to tee off in the afternoon on Friday, then he was going to just WD.
Yep, he was going to say, "Screw it, I'm out."
Man, I forgot. I totally forgot about that. But I remember all that going down now. That was wild. One other thing about that golf tournament that sticks out in my mind too is a buddy of mine was caddying, and he actually got to like somebody sponsored him and the guy he's playing for to stay on the golf course. And he said he was out running one morning, and some big movie star was out walking her duck.
A duck?
Yes.
Holy shit.
A duck, dude. So that's what you're dealing with down there in Riviera. But moving on.
Apparently. Wow. All right. Well, we head to Florida for the Honda Classic PGA National, Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. And this is a pretty wild one. This is a Tiger finishes 12th, another nice Tiger showing. If I remember correctly, it was another kind of interesting Thursday, Friday to get there, but then has an okay weekend. But Justin Thomas takes it home, his second win of the year, finishing at 8 under par. He wins it in another playoff over Luke List. But what I remember most is this is the one where Justin Thomas lost his shit, literally, because he kicked a fan out when he was in a bunker shot, and the fan had some choice words for him and told him to basically leave. We saw the side of Justin Thomas we all remembered.
Yeah, he hit a tee shot, and the guy goes, "Get in the bunker." And he goes, "You're gone." Because apparently this guy had been following him around. So then everybody wants to give Justin Thomas shit about throwing somebody out. Well, I mean, the dude is trying to win $1.18 million. I mean, if somebody was fucking with me when I was trying to win that much money, I would tell him to get out too.
Yep, I agree. It was pretty damn wild, but I guess what it also signaled is they kicked him out, and there was a good run there of people complaining about drunk patrons. So I didn't hear so much about it towards the end of the season. Maybe it's a West Coast thing. I don't know, but this was in Florida, so to be fair. But it was pretty noisy for a while, especially the European players talking about how disrespectful and loud these fans are compared to the Euro Tour. And even Justin Thomas said something when he played in that the French Open. He said their fans are so much friendlier over here. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Well, he apologized for it after. I don't think he owed anybody an apology for it. I mean, if somebody was at my job heckling me constantly, I would get pissed off too. I mean, this is their job. They're the best in the world at this. And just as well as I do, if you play golf and something starts getting in your head, it's just a matter of time before it all goes downhill.
Yep, definitely.
So from there, this is technically the start of the Florida swing. So the Honda Classic is technically the start of the Florida swing. The one thing about the Florida swing is it used to go to Trump National. Doral down, I think, close to Miami, but he got elected president. And so we moved that golf tournament because the WGC event used to be there. And so they moved that golf tournament to Mexico, I think either last year or the year before. And so they're playing it at Club de Golf Chap. I'm just going to call it Chap.
I was waiting for you to try to pronounce that. I was really waiting for that one.
It's down in Mexico City. One thing about this golf course is it's played at like it's played way up. It's up on a mountain. So the ball just like carries like super far. And the big thing from this golf tournament was another playoff. It was between Mickelson and Justin Thomas. But the crazy thing was JT hit the shot on 18, hits, bounces once, spins back in the hole. And like, I've never been that live over a golf shot in my life. That was crazy.
Yeah, JT making that to go to the playoff. And you got Phil doing his thing. And Phil wins in the playoff. But Phil even had those shots. Didn't he have that one out of the trees where he couldn't even see where he's hitting.
Okay.
So this was that tournament, wasn't it? From like, and he all of a sudden like curved it around and got it up through there.
He was over like in a bush, like and he had to. Yeah. I think he barely got it. He barely got one out. I remember one shot like you couldn't even see him, and he barely gets it out, but he still made a par somehow.
Any one of us would have just said, "Screw it, I'm taking unplayable, and we'll move it over here," or I'm just gonna
use the foot wedge.
Yeah, our buddy just says, "Hey, just go find some grass. It's cool."
Like, the other funny thing about this golf tournament is that playoff went to, I think, back to 16, which is a par 3, and so JT hit first, and I think he hit his he missed the green, and then Phil hit his long, and then like somebody stepped on his ball behind the green, if you remember. So he got a free drop and then got up and down, and JT wasn't able to get up and down, and so he won.
Yeah, Phil getting Phil things. That's how it works. We should know this by now.
Somehow a dude walks over and steps on his ball. It's like a cameraman or something. I don't know. I just all remember about that. But there's another WGC no cut event. But pretty cool leaderboard too, though. You had Hatton, RCB up there, my boy Kiradek, who I didn't play, so it was just absolutely one of the most tilting golf tournaments I've ever watched.
And it was pretty crazy because that altitude that you talked about, that some guys were having real difficulties adjusting to that. Like, it was really, and more so on that Thursday round. You saw a lot of weird things happening on Thursday that they adjusted for eventually, but it took them their practice rounds, the Thursday round. It took them a little while to get it figured out.
Yes.
All right, let's move to Copperhead, the Valspar Championship. And I'm going to let you do most of the talking here, but I'm going to say is Paul Casey gets the dub, finishes 10 under, holds off Reed. Tiger Woods tied for second, one shot off, which was big. Tiger was rolling that week, played really, really well, but only shot 1 under on Sunday, where Paul Casey goes 6 under to take it down. We even had a Sergio sighting, Justin Rose, a lot of big names on this leaderboard, a lot. But most importantly, Paul Casey finds the leaderboard, and the Always Pressing podcast was able to rejoice.
Yeah. This was, Copperhead is a hard golf course. And so it's always windy, especially this time of year in Florida. The winds are always whipping, so it makes things even more difficult. But yeah, PC came from basically out of nowhere, wins it over by one shot over Reed and Tiger there. So, but Tiger finished T2, and it probably really overshadowed that Paul's win, because everybody was like, "Oh, is he back?" And he was still struggling with the driver at this point. But he finished second, which is pretty good.
Yeah, most definitely.
So from there, continuing on the Florida swing, it's the Arnold Palmer Invitational presented by MasterCard. And the one thing I remember about this golf tournament is Rory McIlroy figured out how to putt for one round. He gained like 10 shots in the final round, shot 64, and ends up winning by 3 shots over Bryson and Justin Rose and Henrik again. I mean, like, there's a lot of the same names. Tiger Woods finished tied 5th.
Yep. Yeah, it was pretty wild. Bryson goes 4 under on Sunday, but Rory's 8 under, beats him by 3. Like, Bryson should have 4 wins this year. Just put that in the back of your mind real quick.
That's crazy.
Bryson could have had 4 wins. We've already mentioned another couple top 5s he's had, and people keep hating on him. I can't figure that one out. But yeah, it goes to show you, it's something we've talked about over and over again, and a lot of people talk about with Rory McIlroy. If he could ever just putt, his game might be better than anybody else on the tour. But his putter is such a handicap; it's unbelievable.
Tee to green, he's the best golfer on tour. I mean, like, he can't. Nobody hits the ball straighter off the tee. He struggles sometimes with his wedge game. But especially off the tee, he's the best player on tour now, dude. I just remember that and like that in that particular golf tournament, he was on Sunday. He made everything. If you remember coming down, I mean, he was making 20 footers, 30 footers, just drain. He gained 10 shots on the green in that one round.
Yeah, last time I saw him putt that well was in the Ryder Cup in 2016. So been a while for him. Let's go to another WGC event, the Dell Technology Challenge, the match play event. Match play, where we tilted like crazy on DraftKings because that format is garbage. Like 800 point setups and all kinds of crap. Like, it was beyond crazy. I guess I say garbage because we didn't know what to expect. I guess we'll have a better idea next time around. But insanity. But Bubba Watson, another one, just destroyed Kevin Kisner in the finals, 7-6. Wasn't even close. Justin Thomas beat Alex Noren, I believe, as well. Oh, no, Alex Noren beat Justin Thomas in the runner-up match. Bubba Watson, he dominated that whole week. He really kicked ass out there. So another Bubba Watson win, another tough course, and he does it again.
Yeah. It's fun to watch the match play, especially in the first couple days. It just sucks towards the end because you got 2 matches on the final day. I mean, but either way, Bubba, second win of the year after switching balls. I can't harp on it enough. The one thing about this was the first time that DraftKings ever did DFS had any contests for a match play event. We've bitched about it for years to do something, and they finally brought it out, and then it was a cluster. If you remember, you had to basically get your quadrants correct to where you didn't have multiple guys getting knocked out, and you still had a chance toward the end. And I actually had a lineup like that, but everybody got knocked out on like the elite, like the final 8 or something like that. So it's a lot of fun to watch, though. I enjoy the match play. It's a good change of pace. Than just your normal stroke play event that we see week in and week out.
Yeah, I really, really like match play. It's one of my favorite formats to play personally and to watch because I like the fact that it doesn't handicap you. If you have a bad hole, it doesn't kill your entire day or your entire tournament.
Right.
The best of the best most of the time. Obviously, there's better golfers than Bubba Watson, just not that weekend. But usually the best of the best the cream will rise to the top. And that's what I really like about match play. And it's good because, every golfer can just lose it and then it just spirals downhill. But match play, you don't have to. And it shows some mental toughness I like that some golfers don't have.
I agree. It's a totally different ball game. We talk about it with the Ryder Cup and everything. And so it's fun to watch these guys just, kind of let it hang and go play.
Definitely.
So after that, that same week is the Corrales Punta Cana Resort Club Championship down in Dominican Republic. Bryce Garnett won that. I'm gonna skip over it because it's kind of like a web.com event.
I don't know what to say. It was good, but
I don't remember much about it. The next PG like big time PGA Tour event was the Houston Open, which is played at the golf course of Houston in Humble, Texas, which is just outside of Houston there. And Ian Poulter is your winner. Another playoff. He beat Bo Hostler in a playoff. The one thing I remember about Ian here was he started really slow, bounced back like in like an incredible fashion. Saw 64 on Friday to make the cut, and then continued to climb up the leaderboard and made that putt on the last hole. Correct? And started thumping his chest.
Yep, he went full Ryder Cup orangutan out there on the 18th. But that's why I love Poulter. I really have learned to love his intensity because when you play the game of golf and you have that much on the line, you do, Jesse, and I know I do. When you hit a big putt in like a tournament format, you fist pump. Like you give yourself a little, yeah. You might not go to Ian Poulter's level. Like I'm not out there ripping my shirt off like I'm Hulk Hogan, but I did it a couple Sundays ago in our club championship match. I made a big birdie putt, and I gave a fist bump. I was pumped. Like you're playing for something out there. And the biggest thing for Poulter, he had to win this week to get into the Masters.
Yeah,
like he had to win. Yeah. And when he had that opening round, he thought, okay, he can either just pack his bags up and say screw it.
Go play.
Yeah, actually, you're right. He did pack it on. He was ready to leave Friday after his round, and he tore it up on Friday, and he tore it up the rest of the weekend. So it was impressive, and it really led to a really strong finish of the season for Ian Poulter. Really strong finish.
Yeah, he played well, man. I mean, he's bouncing back off of an injury. He was playing on a medical deal, and it actually didn't make as many points as they thought he should have. And then, if you remember, somebody's wife went back and like redid the points, and he ended up getting his card back. And so, Poulter was trending up that before that, and so I don't remember. I think I was in the car or something when this was all happening, so I didn't get to watch that tournament. But I'm a Poulter fan, even though most people aren't.
Yeah, most people are haters. Here at the Always Pressing podcast, we are not. But hello, friends. We head to the Masters. I had to be cheesy there for 2 seconds, where we saw Captain America played a very smart, very simple 1-under on Sunday to beat Ricky Fowler by 1 and take home the green jacket, which he never took off for like 3 weeks, it seemed like. Everywhere he was. Everywhere. I mean, everywhere he was, that green jacket was on. And you know what? I probably would too. But yeah, he takes down Fowler. Spieth was there. Rahm was there. Bubba Watson finished 5th. McIlroy probably would have won it if he could have putted because he was 11 under going into the day. The finish is 2 over on Sunday. But it was a great tournament. A lot of great golf. This is where some may claim Joaquin Niemann made his name. There's a lot to be found here, but Patrick Reed takes down the Masters.
Yeah, the one thing I remember, well, there's a couple of things. So obviously, this is the first major of the year, so the buildup going in the Masters is like incredible. You know, people are betting it starting basically now. They're getting their numbers in, yada yada yada. So by the time it gets here, it's like it's this the buildup is incredible. And the other thing about the Masters is the coverage is great. So you can watch feature groups. They have Amen Corner. There's holes like 16, 15, and 16. So like there's a lot of coverage. You can watch a lot of golf, and if you've never been, I would highly recommend at least trying to go one time, even if it's just a practice round, because it's the most insane golf course I've ever seen. A, it's super hilly, but B, it's immaculate. Like there's not a pin needle out of place. So if you can ever go, I would drop whatever you're doing and go. But yeah, going back to what you were talking about with Reed, him and Rory were playing in the last group, and it was pretty much over. Rory had won, according to a lot of the talking heads out there, and he just played like ass. He shot 74 on Sunday and backed up. But Ricky hit a great shot into 18 and made a birdie. Spieth shot 64 on Sunday to come out of nowhere. But yeah, Patrick Reed held him off, and the Masters Committee was pissed.
Yeah, there were some awesome shots on that last Sunday between Fowler and Spieth and those guys trying to come back and catch him because Reed was just playing smart golf. Like literally anytime it got close, he'd go and hit a big shot and just keep his little distance. And he played the right way, I would say. Some say he should have, he played soft. I think it was genius. That's how you win a tournament. Yeah. But one of the things that I found, I just remembered right now when you were talking, that I thought was hilarious because they made Patrick Reed. They're not going to say they made him. Patrick Reed wore pink for the first time ever on Sunday because they didn't want him and Tiger both wearing Nike red.
Right.
And that was an interesting thing that was kind of controversial, kind of looked over, but people like misinterpreted the fact that Patrick Reed wore it because him and Tiger were such good friends and he idolized Tiger, and Tiger like encouraged him to wear it. Or people thought it was just, people that hate Patrick Reed thought he was just being Patrick Reed. But yeah, he wore pink that Sunday, so that was a little different taste as well.
Yeah, and Tiger obviously played and he finished 32nd, so he was there again. Mickelson finished 36th. So first tournament, first major of the year in the books there with Reed the winner.
Yep.
So after that, we go to Hilton Head, South Carolina, which is just another short little drive over. I'm sure they all just drove their little cars over to RBC Heritage. Which is, like I said, in Hilton Head. And so this golf tournament had kind of a bit of a surprise winner. Sadashi Kodaira, who you mentioned on the pod this week earlier, was the winner. He beat Siwoo Kim in a playoff. Bryson was right there again. I don't remember much else about this tournament except for if Siwoo wins, I win like a couple $1,000 more than what I ended up winning. So
that's something important to remember. The one thing I remember here with Harbor Town at the Heritage, I didn't see his name on the top of this leaderboard. It's like, yeah, there it is. DJ played this because it's an RBC event. First time he played there, he finished T16, and it was kind of a controversial deal because people were like, what's he doing playing that? But money talks.
Yeah.
With this Harbor Town, it's a very interesting course, kind of a lot of ocean inlets and a really small, I want to say it's a Pete Dye course. Could be wrong.
It is, I think.
Yeah, so that's why you'll like it fits DeChambeau's eye very well. You see guys like Webb Simpson, Kisner loves Pete Dye courses, and they're all sitting towards the leaderboard. So part of the reason we're doing this is to help you with this year and to just talk back on old stuff. And I remember that very clearly with Harbor Town. It was one of those where it's not so much course history; it's more like course fit. And a lot of the people that like these courses, it fit really well, and it came through in a big, big way that week. Something to think about going forward. All right, Valero, Texas Open. They leave the eastern seaboard there, head to Texas, San Antonio, AT&T Oaks course, where you mentioned him earlier, Andrew Landry, 17 under, picks up his first career W. Big win for him here in this Texas swing. Some usual suspects. Jimmy Walker's there. Joaquin Niemann finishes sixth. Ryan Moore. A lot of good golfers here. Richie Warwinski, a guy we talk about a lot as a punt, T11. But Andrew Landry played really well. Two-shot W at the Valero Texas Open.
Yeah. Landry, he won. I mean, like that golf tournament. The only thing I remember is Trey Mullinax chunking a chip shot coming down the stretch there. That's about all I remember from that tournament to pretty much take himself out of it. So, and then you didn't hear much about Trey or Andrew really the rest of the year. So, after that, there's the Zurich Classic of New Orleans, which is now a 2-person event. I don't remember it. Horschel and Piercy won. After that, you go back up to North Carolina for the Wells Fargo Championship. Another great golf course. They actually went back to Quail Hollow this year. It was away for a year because of the PGA Championship being there. And your boy Jason Day takes another one down.
Yeah, this is big because he won out there at the Farmers, and people are kind of worried. Is he done? Is he this? Is he that? And then you got he comes back and plays really well here at the Wells. You had Watney finish well. Aaron Wise, a little thing we're going to see here is Wise had a good little month run here. But again, Bryson, another 4th place finish. He was 4 shots off. It's like the more I looked at these leaderboards recently, you realize how good Bryson DeChambeau actually was this year. Honestly, I know it's a sidetrack. If it wasn't for 2 majors for Brooks, Bryson could be in the conversation.
Yeah,
really good.
I agree.
If you break it down.
He won 3, right? He won 3 golf tournaments, which we're going to talk about soon. But all these top 5s and everything, it's crazy.
Yeah, tons of finishes there. But yeah, really good field. And Jason Day getting this done with 12 under. Really good stuff there. After that, we head to the Players Championship, TPC Sawgrass. Always a fun event. The Island Hole, all the good stuff there. And it happened. It finally happened. The putting's been getting better and better all season. Webb Simpson beats Charles Schwartzel by 4 strokes to take it down. Schwartzel, Walker, and Schauffele were all tied at 14 under, but Webb dominated, and he shot over par on Sunday. He shot a 63 in round 2, but other than that, played really good golf, gets the W, and it was another really good weekend for Webb.
Yeah, I just remember watching him dude, he's getting up and down from everywhere, chipping in, just making everything on the greens. It was super tilting if you didn't play him in DFS that week because he dominated. He literally dominated that golf tournament. It was the Webb Simpson show. That was it.
Yep, he was crushing souls.
That's a good way to put it. From there, obviously the Players Championship is considered the 5th major, but it's still not a major. So from there, we go to AT&T Byron Nelson back over to Texas, continuing the Texas swing here. And your boy Aaron Wise, like you just mentioned, he finally breaks through and gets his first win of the year. He beat Mark Leishman. Brandon Grace was right there. Keith Mitchell was up on the leaderboard. JJ Spawn again. And so, yeah, I don't remember much about this golf course except for it was at a brand new golf course, which was built on a dump. It was very linksy-like, a lot of roll on this golf course, and it was wide open, huge greens. So Aaron Wise gets it done.
Yeah, huge greens, link style course. There's a couple, like at least 2 of the holes, if not a couple others, shared a green. No trees, like we talked. Like you said, it literally is built on a landfill. That's what he meant by a dump. It looks supposed to be really nice. Spieth was a member there. He didn't really show up because he didn't do that a lot this year. But Jimmy Walker, another Texas boy. Another top 6 finish. Remember that for the Texas swing. Kevin Na, a guy that I used a lot towards the end of last year, had a good week. But yeah, Aaron Wise got it done. And people are kind of on him, not as much like the Cantlay vibe, but a big vibe on Aaron Wise for a while there. And he finally came through and made a lot of people really happy. Let's go to the Fort Worth Invitational down there in Colonial. Beautiful golf course, big-time reputation, usually a good field here. Kevin Na finished 4th. Just want to throw that out there because I always get laughed at for Kevin Na. But Justin Rose, second win of the year, finishes 20 under par, holds off Brooks Koepka, who finished 17 under. And this was the week where we started to see that Brooks' wrist might be okay. Like things might be better because Justin Rose played amazing. 20 under par is no joke. Brooks is sitting right there. And, it was 20 under, 17 under. Grillo was 16, Nah 14, and then it was all the way down to 10 under. So it's kind of a top-heavy leaderboard right there.
Yeah, I don't remember much about this golf tournament. I didn't realize Justin Rose won it until I remember him winning the first one, obviously in the fall swing. But yeah, I mean, Rose gets another W here. And Colonial is one of those golf courses that has a lot of course history. So keep that in mind when we go back there. They played that golf tournament there for a long time, so there's plenty of history there. So from there, we go back up to Ohio for the Memorial Jack's tournament at Jack's Place. Another beautiful golf course, Muirfield Village Golf Course in Dublin, Ohio. And this is when Bryson finally gets it done. He beat Ben On and Kyle Stanley. So when you think about Bryson, Ben On, and Kyle Stanley, what do you think? Like as far as their games go, as far as their golf game,
ball strikers, iron play, sketchy putting.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I think too. So Bryson gets it done in a three-way playoff there, and his first. This was his first win, correct?
His first 3. Yeah, he played great, and like we've been saying, you had to see it coming. It was there once he got his putter fixed. It was there. Stanley, really good week. Benny On had a good end of the season as well. But Cantlay finished 4th, 1 shot off. He was 14 under, and Joaquin Niemann's there again. So a lot of the young guns were there, and then behind the young guns, Rose, McIlroy, DJ, Fowler, Thomas, all sitting right there, just a few shots back. So the Jack tournament's always going to get a good field. That's one thing you're guaranteed. It's basically as good as Arnie's when it comes to getting guys to show up. So really good finish there, and it was kind of cool seeing kind of 3 different names towards the top there that you don't get to see in a field like that.
Yeah, it's a great golf tournament, and Tiger Woods finished 23rd.
There you go. WGC FedEx St. Jude Invitational. Obviously, Invitational means only a select size field. Dustin Johnson ran away with it. It's kind of a trend we've seen this year. But Dustin competed a lot, but when he won, most of the time he destroyed the field. He won by 6 strokes over Andrew Putnam. So he wins in Hawaii. He wins here. When we talk about the next one, he pretty much dominated there. But he got the job done. And outside of that, it was pretty Putnam was 6 shots off. JB Holmes was 10 shots off. Our boy Stuga was 11 shots off, and that was 4th place. So this was the Dustin Johnson show. Not a whole lot else for me to talk about there.
Is this the one that Putnam almost won?
He finished 2nd, 6 shots off.
Yeah. Remember, I called Putnam to win that week. But this is also the tournament that he withdrew one year. I don't know if you remember, it was before Chambers Bay. Like he played 9 holes and then jetted, got on a jet and literally went to Chambers Bay because it's right before the U.S. Open. So it's so sketchy to pick him there. But this next year, it's going to be a WGC event, so it's a totally different deal. From there, we do go into the U.S. Open. So DJ wins the U.S. Open, or DJ wins FX St. Jude, and then U.S. Open, who's going to be chalky? Dustin Johnson. He finished 3rd, but Brooks Koepka got it done. He shot 75 in the first round, turned around, shot 66. Now, the thing about Brooks is after the first round, shot 75. He was, I think, probably pre-tourney. He was 16, maybe 20-1. After that first round, he was 80-1. I was lucky enough to jump on him there.
Yes, very, very nice. Brooks was lights out. Wasn't doing anything too crazy. He was just hitting every golf shot, playing smart golf, he was basically trying to play par golf or better, so trying to be a hero. DJ just disappeared on the last day. His putter lost him on Saturday, but some say they lost the course on Saturday. So that's a whole other debate for another day. Zach Johnson, his infamous after 18 interview talking about them losing the course, and you could see it. It was pretty embarrassing. Like you'd hit great golf shots that none of them would stay on the green. If you tried to putt, nothing would putt right. Like if you got a bogey, it was almost a victory. And that's kind of what derailed Johnson because DJ was playing great and his putter really failed him. And I'm not saying failed them completely because it was just difficult conditions. On Sunday where it was a little more friendly, he still only shot even par, so he lost by 2 strokes. It was that Saturday crushed him from winning that tournament. But Brooks played great. Fleet Magic, Tommy Fleetwood finished 2nd, shooting 7 under on Sunday before the conditions kind of toughened up. He took advantage of it, just like Berger and Finau did the first day, where Finau finished 5th overall. Berger finished 6th, but they took advantage Saturday before the course got lost, and then Sunday Fleetwood took advantage, but Brooks takes it down, like you were saying.
Well, one of the most memorable things about this too was your boy Phil.
Yes, good old
so
Phil.
On Saturday, on Saturday when they quote unquote lost the golf course, he went on full tilt. He went full tilt. He hits a putt. It's going to go racing by, probably off the green. Instead of letting it go off the green, he runs up and just smacks it right back towards the hole. Which that's a penalty if you hit a ball in play. It's like a 2-shot penalty or whatever. So instead of WDing them, we just gave him a 2-shot penalty. And after the round, he acted like, I was just using the rules. So I mean, it was I think later he figured out he was an asshole for saying it like that. And I get where he was coming from. He was pissed off, but that was something else to watch that shit. Because I mean, literally lost his cool. Like he lost his cool.
Yeah, you got to be better than that. You can't do stuff like that at that level of the game. It just doesn't work.
No.
But yeah. All right, we head to I believe it's the Quicken Travelers Championship. Yep. Travelers Championship. TPC River Highlands. Hey, Bubba Watson wins again.
Third time.
This was crazy, though, because this was the tournament where Paul Casey heads into the final round at 12 under, leading the tournament, was in complete control, shoots 2 over to finish tied for second at 14 under. Bubba goes, and he even said it, I think, in a pre-interview before the round, he's going to win the tournament. Well, he did. He shoots 7 under on Sunday to go finish 17 under, win by 3 over Hostler, JB Holmes, Paul Casey, and Stu Goat, who shot 8 under on Sunday. So a couple guys took advantage of things, but Bryson, another T9 at 12 under. Nothing to sleep on there. But Bubba Watson, 3rd victory of the year. If I gave you odds, Jesse, that Bubba Watson will win 3 tournaments this year, what would those odds have to be to put a bet on that?
100?
At least, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, I wouldn't bet it anything less than that. That's for sure. I mean, like, that's something you like, it's something you would consider for DJ. Like, DJ's going to win 3 times this year. Yeah. Okay. Well, 20-1 odds. All right. That's but like 100 for sure, especially coming off the year that he had last year. The one thing that I remember about this tournament was the Paul Casey collapse. Yeah. Because he's, obviously if you're a fan of the pod, he's my boy. Shoots 72, which is the worst score, like inside the top 30. Everybody else is like massively under par at least. And yeah, so it was embarrassing to watch him do that. But Bubba, 3rd win of the year. Crazy. Yeah. So from there we go to what was formerly, I think, was it this previously like Tigers tournament, the Quicken Loans? Anyways, they've moved it around quite a bit. This year it was played at TPC Potomac, Avenel Farms, and your boy. Now I can legitimately say your boy here. This is legitimately your boy, Francisco Molinari, smoked the field.
Smoked him.
Yeah.
He smoked him like it was a Ryder Cup match. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. I was on cloud 9. I was going crazy. It was a great year for the podcast because the fact that Casey wins for the first time in forever. Molinari wins for the first time in forever. Fleetwood, he's going to win very soon. And so it's Finau. So our boys are coming home. It's very, very nice. But, he dominated. Ryan Armour was up there again. A guy we kind of mentioned off and on, a young gun that played well. Tiger finished T4. He was only 10 shots off at T4. And then you got Answer, Burgoon, some good young players played well there at the National. It's a big time tournament up there in TPC Potomac.
It's not an easy golf course.
No, it's a very tricky golf course.
Made it look like kids play. Like he's on a putt course out there.
When you're elite, you're elite. That's just kind of things that happen with Francisco Molinari. Like, honestly, I don't know how people can not like Francisco Molinari. Look at that man.
Like my issue with Franny always has been like if you played him in early DFS years, he was always like mid 7,000s. Like this guy can ball strike, but he misses. He's like it was Luke List, distinct Luke List before, and he figured it out this year how to putt. And
no, you know who he is right now, or who he was, and who is him now? Chris Kirk.
Oh, God, I don't even talk about Chris Kirk, man.
Trust me, I'm with you, buddy. I'm with you. Tilting. But yes, Chris Kirk. That's him.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the Greenbrier, the Old White TPC. I remember having to preview this course, and it creeped me out to call it the Old White TPC. But that's what it is over at the Greenbrier. It's a military tribute at the Greenbrier. And na hey, hey, hey. Kevin Na wins by 5 over Kelly Craft. Joaquin Neiman, another top 5. Really getting done. Joel Dahman, your boy, a top 5. So not the most star-studded tournament, but a lot of really good golf, a lot of birdies to be made out there. And Kevin Na takes it down for the first time in forever.
Yeah. Yeah, he got him into the Open Championship too by winning this golf tournament. So he he had been kind of a bit on the comeback trail at this point and, capped it off there with the win at the Greenbrier. I know you'd like to talk about him some more probably for the rest of the podcast, but moving on to the John Deere Classic, which is in Silvis, Illinois. It's played the same golf course every year, TPC Deere Run. Michael Kim completely effing out of nowhere. I don't know where he found this form, but he figured it out. Won by 8 shots over Bronson Burgoon, Joel Dahlman, Francisco was there again, and Sam Ryder, who we've already talked about plenty this year and we'll continue to talk about. So, Michael Kim, I don't even know what to say.
I remember that was one of the most confusing weekends ever. Because who?
Yeah,
what?
I know who Michael Kim is, but he's not
exactly
played golf in a long time, and he just comes out of nowhere and wins. So that's
if he wins
an easy golf course.
If he wins by shooting 13 under and the next guy shoots 12, okay. But to blitz the course for 27 under,
8 shots, it's just mind-boggling. But that's golf, and this is what we fucking bet on.
Yep, this is what we love to do. So let's talk about it. We have 2 events this next weekend. I'll leave the major for you. I'll kick it off with the Barbasol, which I will tell you I didn't watch anything of because I was watching the major. But Troy Merritt takes it down. I just wanted to mention him because he actually had a pretty decent year coming off. I think it's also might be off the web that year. He beats Billy Ho by 1, Lovelady, Wierenski, obviously a lot of kind of web.com guys, because there was a much bigger tournament going on, Jesse.
Yeah, that golf tournament that the Barbasol has played pretty close to where I play, and I got a buddy who's a member at that golf course, and it was just super rainy that week. That's about it. I didn't even get out there because it was like literally a mud pit, and it's been that way because apparently we live in a rainforest in Kentucky now. But either way, the reason that's the sideshow is because the Open Championship was being played, and doesn't really matter who won. But Kevin Kisner finished second. Rory McIlroy, Francisco Molinari won the Open Championship. I mean, 2 shots over Kisner and McIlroy, Rose and Xander. Tiger finished tied 6th. This year was played at Carnoustie, which is nicknamed Carnasty. And the one issue with all of these majors except for the Masters, and the problem with the Masters is it's a small field. The problem with all the rest of the majors is obviously there's a lot of money to be made, especially in DFS, but they move around every year. Yeah. So the course history to me sucks. It's like, this sucks.
It sucks, and it's cool because they're great tournaments, especially the British Open they're great tournaments. The other, U.S. Open and everything, it's a little different. They can kind of, I think that they kind of honed in on like 4 or 5 places like the British does, it'd be better. But
I agree.
The Open is pretty cool. Like you said, Franny takes it down. But come on, Rose, Schauffele, Kisner, McIlroy, all at 6 under. Tiger at 5, Finau, top 10 in a major. But one of the stories outside of one of the greatest golfers on the planet winning the event, Eddie Pepperell, if people don't remember this one, goes 4 under on Sunday to finish 5 under, tied for 6th. He got so hammered the night before because he thought he wasn't going to matter at all. He comes out here basically. It's like Frank the Tank on Old School when he was blacks out during his speech. He goes out there and just torches the course, lit it up, best round of the day, and gets him into a T6 at the Open Championship.
Wind was howling there, and I remember that. One thing we forgot to talk about at the Masters too was Finau top 10 after rolling his ankle. We totally
rolled his ankle in the par 3.
What's going on, man? Yeah, dude. And then he top 10s here again, dude. He's such a beast.
He's a monster. He's the man. That's what he is. But that's about it. DJ missed the cut because he kept driving it out of bounds. But that's about it. And it's crazy because Justin Rose also finished second. He had to make birdie on 18 on Friday to get in to the weekend.
Yeah, I remember that. He was super chalky DFS too. Everybody was all excited about that except for me because I didn't play him.
It was a good tournament. Third major.
It always goes back to my DFS tilt.
Yeah, it's fun though.
Yeah, it is. It's a great time.
I guess we have the. Do we even want to talk about the Barracuda? I'll just be really honest about that.
No, just go past it.
Wait, we have one more before that, though. The RBC Canadian Open. I mentioned how there was one Dustin Johnson who torched his field. He won this one by 3. He shot 6 under on Sunday, holding off Wee Kim and Benyon, another Benyon sighting. Keegan Brantley starting his late season run. I'll be honest saying that's it. Yeah, like Putnam, Dahlman, a lot of always pressing favorites. Finished really well here, but DJ, we said it for a while. I said it on the AP pod. He was really wanting to win this tournament for his, I guess you could say, father-in-law, even though they're not married, the great one, and he finally took it down, and it was a big deal for DJ. And Brooks missed the cut here.
Yeah, he was like 4-1 going in that week. That's about all I remember, and then he of course wins. So, yeah, it's the Canadian Open. It's the week after the Open Championship. Not many people play it because it's the week after the Open Championship, and you got to fly all the way across the pond and so on and so forth. From there, so there's the Barracuda that week. Andrew Putnam wins that week. After we had talked about him on the pod for like 3 or 4 straight weeks, and he finally wins when we can't even play him in DFS because that week is another WGC event. It's the Bridgestone Invitational. Now, this next year, it will be the FedEx St. Jude Invitational, so they're moving it to Memphis. This is the last year that it was played at Firestone Country Club, and Justin Thomas was the champion over Kyle Stanley. DJ was there again. Brooks, 5th. Patrick Cantlay up top there again, but I don't remember much about this tournament. But that's a big win for JT again, so.
Yeah, JT's 3rd win of the year. I remember watching it. He just coasted on Sunday. Shot 1 under on Sunday. He was in complete control early on. I remember his dad would point to – they'd have the mic on him in the fairway, pointing at different targets to hit at. Like there's the WGC logo behind the green, and he said aim for the curl in the G. Like I'm like, you can't just say aim for the G. No, aim for the curl in the G. Like Jesus, and he just like stripes one right at it. And I was like, this is ridiculous. And he was so locked in, and he just torched it. But DJ, a big Sunday to get there because he kind of just faltered all weekend. He was only 4 under going into Sunday, where Justin was 14 under. Another top 5 for Brooks, who has a big weekend coming up. Cantlay was there. Finau, another top 10 and a pretty good field, given smaller field, but still really good finish. All right, final major of the year, the PGA Championship. Brooks Koepka winning his 2nd major of the season, going 16 under, which is an amazing story in itself. Francisco Molinari finished 6th. Not much else to talk about, I guess. But, Tiger Woods, this is a lot to talk about. He had the world ablaze, not just the Twitterverse, the golf world ablaze.
Yeah.
People thought it was happening, folks. Like literally every gif of it's happening, it was out there. And he goes 6 under on Sunday, but still loses by 2 strokes to Brooks. It looked like it was coming. He was in the zone, but he had to save it for the last weekend of the year. But Brooks takes down 2nd major of the season.
Yeah, Brooks stared him down and still brought it home. Because I just remember all the roars on the golf course were for Tiger. He had the biggest crowd. I mean, like I played in the golf tournament that day, and we came home and we were able to catch the end of it, and it looked like Brooks was playing in front of like a Thursday morning crowd. That's how few people, because he was behind Tiger, so he was, obviously everybody was in front watching Tiger play. But Brooks hit one of the greatest shots I've ever seen on 16 on Sunday to like 5 feet from like 240 with a 4-iron, just stiffs it and makes birdie there, and that basically shut the door on Tiger, because right after that Tiger hits one way right. I think on 17, if I'm correct.
He fell apart at the end.
And he knew you could just tell he knew he'd lost it at that point, because he needed to make eagle there, which it was an eagleable hole, and it didn't happen. But yeah, that was kind of the step before Tiger is back. I mean, you could say it there almost, but obviously we'll get to another thing here before too long. After the last major of the year, it goes.
One thing real quick. Go ahead. One other thing with Tiger that was really cool there is, we've mentioned it many times in the past of how it's a different Tiger Woods now. He made a point to sit outside the room and shake Brooks' hand, give him a hug. It wasn't just Ricky Fowler anymore. Like, he made a point to congratulate these guys, which in the old days Tiger would have already been packed up and gone. This is a different Tiger. So he's really embracing these young guys in a way of bringing it all together. So it was good to see.
Yeah, well, I mean, part of that was probably because Brooks has a
Brooks'
hot,
girlfriend's there.
he's a hot girlfriend. So I mean, we got to be honest here.
Fair
So
enough.
after the last uh, uh, major, we get into the Wyndham Championship, which is in Greensboro, North Carolina. Brant Snedeker shoots 59 on Thursday, one like the 10th or 11th 59 ever, and ends up going on to win. He beat CT Pan. Webb Simpson was up there again, but yeah, I don't know much. I mean, basically it was the 59 week of Brant. That's all I remember from this week, and it was not that long ago, so it's not that memorable.
Yeah, Brant did his thing, and you're right. There wasn't a ton else to go about that week. Webb played great. Brant just held on, unlike at the Safeway recently. He actually got it done. But it was good to see that Brant's actually kind of putting it back together. It's been a while to see Brant there, so definitely back for now, it seems. All right, we start the FedEx Cup playoffs now. We kick it off with the Northern Trust, and this is where it really got cooking. Bryson DeChambeau takes down his second tournament of the year, obviously first for the FedEx Cup. He played great, finished 18 under par. Tony Finau finished second, a trend we will see. Finau was there. A lot of good names at the top. Billy Ho, who's been on a crazy run. Brooks Koepka was eighth. A lot of good stuff there, but most importantly, Bryson gets it done in a big, big way, 18 under par in the Northern Trust.
Yeah, second win of the year, and a good transition into the Dell Technology Championship, which is the second leg of the FedEx Cup, and he wins that one too. So he's like got this big old massive lead in the FedEx Cup points at this point. And I mean, other than him winning, I don't remember much else from the Dell. Like the thing about
I remember
these,
the Dell pretty good.
do you? I mean, like the thing about, oh well, this is Rose finished second.
This is a wet.
Tony,
It was really wet. Really,
Tony,
really wet.
Tony Finau's another top five there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just I don't remember much else, and it wasn't that long ago.
DJ shot 7 under on Sunday to get to 11 under on the tournament. Phil shot 8 under that Sunday out of nowhere. But it was Bryson holding Rose off. It was a back and forth there with those guys on that Sunday. It was pretty impressive. A lot of wet play. Another thing I did remember is Keegan Bradley. I think it was this tournament or the next. It might have been the next one. No, it was this one because it helped Keegan get into the next one. We'll talk about it in a minute. I remember he was playing with Rose, I think, on Saturday, and there was a threat of rain canceling Sunday's event. He made a putt on 18 to get him inside the top 50 for the following weekend. And
top 30, you mean? Top 30?
No, not for the second to last weekend.
Oh, so top 70, right?
Yeah, top 70.
Yep.
So it was a really, really big moment there because this is where it almost all unraveled. And it's at the beginning of the end for Jordan Spieth as well. We go to the BMW Championship at Aronimink Golf Club, where Keegan Bradley outlasts Justin Rose, beats him in a playoff, finishes 20 under par. Keegan Bradley, once again, is a PGA Tour winner. But yeah, Justin Rose playing great yet again. Like the more we look at this, yes, he is the runner-up to Brooks Koepka this year. He had so many top, like, 2 finishes. Billy Ho, Webb Simpson, Tiger finished 6th in this one. Franny finished 8th. Finau 8th yet again. So a lot of the big names still up there as you'd expect in smaller and smaller fields. But Keegan Bradley, Jesse. Keegan.
Yeah.
Bradley.
Yeah. There's a, like you said, playoff. And the thing I remember about this tournament is the final stretch there. And like both of them ended up hitting off grandstands and, that saved them from having terrible up and down. So, yeah, Keegan got it done, man. It's been a long time for Keegan. Good for him. I know a lot of people don't like him, but he played great golf that week.
Really good golf.
So from there, that's the third leg of the FedEx Cup. From there, we go to the Tour Championship. Not really much happened here.
Nothing at all. Nobody's back.
It was kind of a blah 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 type of deal. Now it'd be interesting to see how they jack up the scoring on this next year. But Tiger Woods is your winner. That scene coming down 18 is just something that will never be forgotten.
Yeah, the amount of people there, the roar, so many things were awesome. When he made the putt that he actually won, he actually started crying. Like, I'm a grown-ass man, and I don't care if guys cry. I'm cool with it. Like, I got, like, chills, and I got a little misty. I didn't cry, but, like, it was one of those things that okay, this will sound cheesy. it was one of those times where you realize why sports is so cool.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
This is a guy where you and I, Jesse, we grew up when we started playing golf, watching Tiger Woods, just like the guys he's playing with, and we watched him just crush everybody out there. And then we've talked about it many times on this podcast. We never ever thought Tiger Woods would ever win. Like, well, maybe not ever, never, ever, but there were a lot of moments in his future comebacks where we thought there was not a prayer. Like, it was never happening. And this was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back and look at what's happened with him over the last year, you know, a lot of people thought that it was over. Like, it would never, he wouldn't play golf again, let alone win a PGA Tour event and compete during this year in major tournaments. He was there in the Open Championship. He was obviously second runner up there in the PGA Championship. So this has been, it was something that was bound to happen sooner than later for Tiger. And you know, the only thing I can say about that is it's Tiger Woods being back only makes golf better. Like, it's legitimately the best thing. And the other thing about this tournament is Justin Rose had to make a putt on the last hole to win the FedEx Cup.
Yeah, I was about to say he won it with 2,260 points. Do you know who finished second?
Tiger
by like 40 points.
Yeah,
like so literally, it just goes back to like saying so much. Yeah, Tiger would have won the FedEx Cup. Just wrap your head around that.
Yeah,
for like 2 seconds.
That would have been. I mean, and Rose knew what kind of moment he was in because he was like, "I'm sorry," you know, he's apologizing afterwards to all the patrons there or whatever. Well, no, hell no. I mean, you just won $10 million. Everybody else can go F themselves as far as I'm concerned. But Rose is a good guy, so he was just apologizing for that. But either way, yeah, I mean, what a wild year, Bubba. What a wild year, man.
It just brings it back in. Is like, so Tiger finishes second in the FedEx. He was 8th on the money list, making over $5 million. Like, I know a lot of that came in the last week. Made a lot of top 5 finishes we talked about too.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at the top 10 money list, Justin Thomas with 3 wins, Dustin with 3 wins, Rose with 2 wins, Bryson with 3 wins. He was 4th on the money list, making over $8 million. Bryson had 9 top 10 finishes, Jesse. 9 and 3 wins.
Yeah, he had a hell of a year, man. He just couldn't cap it off. He played awful.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy that you win the first 2 legs, and you can't hang on to win it.
I mean, he was what, 10 shots? He was 10 shots back. Yeah, I mean, he had it in his hands. All he had to do was like basically top 5 and couldn't get it done. So it'll be interesting to see how they change up the scoring on this next year. You know, supposedly they're going to start the leader at -10 and then go down from there. It's going to be weird.
There's going to be a lot of stupid things, but a couple of things that stood out. We won't keep anybody too much longer. We've already gone pretty good here, but just looking at the money list, and it doesn't tell you everything because some guys play more tournaments than others. But one thing that really stood out to me is out of the top 20, there was only 3 golfers that did not win a tournament on the PGA Tour this year that finished in the top 20. Can you name those? Finau was definitely, that was the easy one. Can you tell me where he ranks, just off the top of your head? This is impressive.
5th?
He was 7th. He made $5.6 million without even a W this year. That's how good he was. Like, insane. Who do you
think is Fleetwood in there?
He is not in the top 20. They're both Americans.
I'm blank.
Ricky Fowler finished 16th.
Oh, I wasn't really counting him because he won the Hero, but yeah, you're right. He didn't really have a win. That's not an official win.
And then Xander finished 18th.
Wow.
Fleetwood was 21st. He made just below $4 million. So it's pretty impressive. Like, after the 20, a lot of guys had 0 wins, but yeah, rough life to go play the best courses in the world for free, make $4 million.
Right.
Yeah. I was over in Europe playing the most amazing courses in the world as well. So yeah, a lot of stuff here. Like, we could talk forever. Like, I'm down to talk forever, but do you have anything else, or do you want to wrap this bad boy up?
That's it, man. We rambled on for long enough. Appreciate everybody listening, and we appreciate all the support for the pod too. You know, if you like it, give it a rating and review on iTunes. If you don't want to do that, that's fine too.
Yeah, and if you guys have any other ideas, because we're brainstorming on other things we can talk about besides just DFS Weekly. There's a lot of stuff because we like golf. So it doesn't have to be just like we could sit and talk golf, as you can tell, forever. And usually before we record a podcast on Mondays, we talk golf for like 20 to 30 minutes anyways. So if you guys got any ideas, let us know. But that being said, check out Jesse on Twitter at DFS Golf Gods. I am at BDentric. The podcast is at Always Press DFS. And thanks for listening. We'll catch you guys next week to preview the CJ Cup. But this was the 2017-2018 PGA Tour year in review. Catch you guys later.